Hey guys, it's a follow-up to my Drakengard series review, and it's the Nier series. By series, I mean 2 games. Nier is a spin-off to Drakengard and goes off the joke ending in the first Drakengard. The game was released in 2010 to mixed reception, and I'll be reviewing it on the 360. Nier starts in a city where a father is trying to protect his daughter from these monsters. Well, he starts getting owned by them, and then he touches a magic book that gives him superpowers, and with that he destroys the monster. He told his daughter to not touch the book, but when he comes back, well, his daughter is hella black text all over her, and it has the father yelling help. Then fast forward like hundreds of years later, where it is about a father named Papa Nier? Yeah, Papa Nier. Nier. Trying to save his daughter, Yona, from the sickness she has. He does jobs and will do anything to save his daughter from the disease known as the Black Scrawl. That's all I'm going to say about the story, because any more would be spoilers, because this is a pretty great story. Like, the story is good in the game, and really what makes it good is the characters. They pretty much make the game. Characters like Kanye and Bice make the game's story as good as it is. The game can be really confusing, but it comes together pretty nice. It has a nice story that actually can get deep as hell. I would say the story is on the same level as the last couple of Yoko Taco games. If not, it's slightly better than them, mostly because I like the characters more. But I'm stopping with the story here because it's actually really good. So Nier is a hack and slash with RPG elements. Nier can double jump, attack, charge up and attack, and do a weird push attack thing. Nier can also roll to dodge, as well as interact with other objects and characters, and finally use magic. Magic is linked to the shoulder buttons, and there is a bunch of different magic spells, and I guess they're spells, that in the game they can range from giant hands attacking to spears being thrown. The game Nier is more akin to a RPG, where you talk to somebody and they give you a mission, and then you go complete said mission. You then go back to said person, and this happens a lot in the game, like a lot. It's pretty basic for an RPG, and it never really gets any more complex than that. I mean, there's side quests, and there's XP and leveling up and all that, but Nier does not have regenerating health and uses health items. He has a magic bar, which does regen actually, and obviously is used when you use magic. So the combat in Nier is really quite basic, but is not as awful like Drakengard 1 and 2. There are a lot of weapons in the game, some one-handed, some two-handed, etc. The thing is, though, there's only one real combat, like, formula style, I guess, and that's literally by just pressing X, 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 or square, 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 square if you're on a PS3 controller. Like, that's all the combos you get in the game. Y or triangle does this weird like dash move, or like a spin move if you have a two-handed weapon, and it doesn't have any combos, or at least not to my knowledge. So yeah, for being a hack and slash, it's pretty much just a beat 'em up. I mean, since there's no like real combos. In addition to just attacking with your weapon, there is the magic, which is really useful and makes the combat, well, somewhat bearable. These mix it up a bit. The enemies in the game are mostly these black creatures that are known as, like, shades, and by black creatures, I'm not talking about Shadow the Hedgehog here. They are what you fight mostly, and they come in all shapes and sizes. The real enemies are the bosses. There are a ton of bosses in this game, and most of them, I will say, are actually pretty decent, and are easily the high points of the game. Like, these are the best part of the combat, no competition. They're unique, interesting, and have their own formula. In addition to the combat and the running back and forth collecting stuff quests, Nier has a bunch of honestly just strange gameplay modes in it that are never very long but show up once or twice. These include like odd 2D sections, top-down shooting, text adventures, and even a Resident Evil like level. That's not all of them, just some of them, but this game likes to mix it up quite a bit with these weird sections, and with that I say sure. When it comes to gameplay, that's really it though. You talk to someone, they give you a new quest, you go kill some enemies, get the item, go home. That's actually most of the game. So now let's talk about the presentation. So this game, well, for presentation it looks pretty meh. It came out in 2010, and as such you would think it would look a bit better than this, but I guess it had a low budget. One thing they are good at though is making, they make the main character, Nier, they make him look like shit. Like, Nier the character, he looks fucking gross and awful. He looks terrible. Like, he is just on purpose this disgusting ass man. And I think it's hilarious. The other character models are not anywhere near as nasty and look decent enough. Everyone animates okay, some of it is pretty stiff, but not all of it. It's passable. The frame rate was smooth enough. It wasn't really bad at all, but there was a bit of slowdown during bosses or when you attack an enemy. Sometimes the game just slows down like Dead Rising 1. The textures though, yeah, no, they don't look very good. They really don't. They are pretty bad. I mean, the grass looks nice, but like the buildings look pretty bad, and the other textures, really, it just looks bad. It's a bit mixed. The sound though is not mixed. The sound in this game is awesome. The voice acting in this game is surprisingly great. It is good. Like, everyone does a great job, and it's a bit shocking how everyone is good. The voice acting, while a bit cheesy at times, in actually many instances, is still pretty great, especially Weiss and Kane. They are just the best. The voice acting really helps out with the characters and really just adds to their overall personality. The music in Nier is also surprisingly fantastic. It is very good. The music is really great in this game. It's super catchy, and whenever vocals are involved, it's just great. I only have good things to say about the music. It's so good. Sound quality was also great. Okay, so while the sound is great in the game, not everything is great in the game. In fact, there is some stuff in Nier that is nowhere near great. So where do I even start with this one?
Big sloppy kiss, Shadow Lord! Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us!
Let's start with the combat. The combat in Nier is not very good. It's better than Drakengard 1, but not 3. It is so ridiculously basic. Like, it's just press X over and over and over and over and over and throwing some magic in there. Like, it's just so boring. Like, I was bored after a few hours. The controls are also not the best, as it just feels really clunky. It gets very repetitive very quickly because of this lame ass combat. Speaking of repetitive, that's what this game is. This game gets so repetitive really fast. For 80% of the game, it's go talk to Popola, go get something, go talk to Popola, over and over. Like, it's just so boring and repetitive incredibly fast. I really disliked how fast I got bored with it. Now, I'm not saying I need action constantly in my games or something, but this was just a downright chore running back and forth. It was just not fun anymore. Additionally, Nier, I guess it's such a small budget that like the levels are reused. Some of these levels are reused like 3 or 4 times. This really is just more annoying than anything else, as it feels like you aren't getting anywhere, and it just adds to the tedium when you're staring at the same environments over and over, going back to Popola. This isn't like how Ocarina of Time reused environments with brand new shit in them. No, it's the same area with the same people, and you have a slightly different location somewhere in it. Like, it's identical. In addition to that, the side missions in Nier are just garbage. There is no other word for them, garbage. They are super generic fetch quests with very little incentive. They are just the definition of filler, lame-ass, generic side quests and are not worth doing at all besides a select important few. And this brings me to getting the endings. Like Drakengard, there is certain criteria to fulfill to get the other endings. Ending A and B are unlocked by just beating the game and then finishing the second part another time respectively. The other endings are unlocked by playing through the whole game again and getting all the weapons in the game. This is unlike Drakengard 3. Unlike Drakengard 3, this is a pain in the ass. Like, it's so annoying, as there are hella weapons you get from side missions and found throughout the world. And you know, I had trouble finishing this game even once because I found it so repetitive, so I couldn't even go to frickin' B. That's really my biggest issue with the game, is how repetitive it is. The story, the music, the characters, it's all great. The combat and just really general structure of the game, nope. Well, it didn't start out that bad, it got to me pretty fast. So really though, how would I rank this game against the Drakengard games, and how would I recommend it? I would say this game is just slightly under Drakengard 3, which I thought was a pretty slightly above average game. I think Drakengard 3 though is a slightly better game than this game, only because I wasn't dead ass bored with it by the halfway mark. Who do I recommend this game to? Really anyone who played Drakengard, but really when it comes down to it, it comes down to you as a player. Can you put up with not stellar gameplay for a good ass story and characters? If you can, then yeah, play it. But if gameplay is most important to you, you really should just steer away from this game. Or really just watching the game online is a good option as well. But really that's the first Nier game. It's a pretty average game, and I don't have too much to say about it because I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. But the next game we're going to, Nier Automata, that would be way above average. So here is the next game, Nier Automata, released on PS4 and PC earlier this year. Nier Automata was not like all the other Yoko Taro games, as it was not only made by a small team with a shit budget. No, this game was made by Platinum Games, the people who made Metal Gear Rising and Bayonetta, among other great games. The story was still directed by Yoko Taro, and is just as unique and crazy as the last couple games he has made. But now with Platinum Games there also. So Nier Automata takes place so much later than the first Nier, and you could easily believe that this game has nothing to do with the first game. And really, it barely does. Like, barely. You do not need to play the first Nier at all to understand this game. Some parts of the first game are very briefly mentioned, but nothing really is beyond that. So Nier Automata has the world in basically a ruined, abandoned state. Basically, aliens showed up on the planet and unleashed all these robots to wipe out humanity. All the humans in the world then moved to the moon to fight back the robots by sending these androids that look like humans to fight the robots. These were actually mentioned in Nier 1, the androids. The main characters in the game are 2B and 9S, two androids who have been sent down to Earth to destroy the robots. And I'm stopping there for the story. Any more would be spoilers, and me even saying this much is probably spoilers, honestly. The story in Nier Automata is just like all the other Yoko Taro games. Excellent. This game has a great story that has some good twists, turns, and I mean really at this point, what do I have to say that's new? I mean, for the story. Every single Yoko Taro game, the story has been hella good, and I honestly have run out of things to say. The story is hella good, and I would say it's on the first level, the level of the first Nier, if not a little better. It's a good ass story. But how does the game play? Well, now that it is by Platinum Games, the gameplay is a hell of a lot better. The gameplay is now so smooth. It has that signature Platinum Games gameplay, where you press X or square is the light attack and Y or triangle is the heavy slow attack. You can also jump, double jump, and even glide. Additionally, you can do this super awesome dodge move with the right trigger that is also your sprint move when you're not in battle. You will need this move a lot in the game, as you will do a lot of dodging. There are a ton of weapons in this game, but for the most part it's the same combos and moves with the same amount of variation with the weapons. So it's not too much, but really the combat is so fluent in the first place that it's not a big deal. You also have this little like bot that has a machine gun on it, and it does little chip damage, and this bot has a second customizable ability that's like shooting a laser using gravity blast. It's customizable. Like how you can also customize your character with tons of little abilities you find in the game. In addition to the on-foot combat that is excellent, might I add, there is a shmup area. There's a bunch of shmup areas in the game actually. Whether it's when you're hacking or when you're in the air shooting the shit out of everything, you shoot a lot of shit in this game. These are also pretty great and pretty enjoyable for the most part. These parts of the game though are super linear though, unlike the majority of the game. Yeah, unlike the first Nier, this game is a true open world game. Like where almost all of it is explorable, platforming and all. There is the main missions, which has a decent enough variety in killing all the robots in the game and talking to people, and then there are a lot of side missions. There are tons of side missions, and these side missions, while some are pretty short, some are really long and drawn out. Like, it's surprising how they aren't garbage like the first games. The game has RPG aspects, like it has health that does not regenerate, it has EXP, leveling up, the usual 1 or 2 things that I guess all you need now for the game to be considered an RPG. And then finally the game goes all Dark Souls, where if you die you respawn at a save point, you need to go get your body back to get your stuff. And if you're online, you can see other bodies and absorb them or revive them, but reviving them sucks. And that's really the core gameplay for this Nier. It's very fluid, it's very smooth, and it's all around fun. When it comes to presentation in the new Nier Automata, it looks pretty damn good. It has some really nice textures and character models. The game animates fantastically, and the way everyone moves around is just really fluid. The character models, lip syncing, and really just everything about them is awesome. Enemies and bosses have awesome designs and are awesome to fight, might I add. Bosses are great in this game, much better than the first games, which were also good. The textures all look really good with a high amount of detail and look pretty stunning for the most part. The game also has some really nice effects to the game, like the 16-bit stuff that might show up, or when the graphics are simple like in the hacking minigame. It's really just quite charming. The only thing I would say that is not perfect is the performance on the PC. It's not the best, but it's good enough. I had some frame drops on occasion, and it may have been the actual game, but my PC can totally run this game on the highest setting, so I think it was just the game. Maybe a lack of optimization or the frame rate actually going down, I don't know. But that was really the only part of the presentation that wasn't perfect.
Loop a distress signal.
Affirmative.
Damn it!
Keep on some.
The sound in the game, though, yeah, perfect. It really is. I have zero complaints here for the sound, really. The voice acting is fantastic in this game. As cheesy as it can be, sometimes, just like the first game, it is great. Like, everyone tries here, and really it's all great. From 9S to 2B being a bitch, it's all great here. It gets a thumbs up in my book here. The sound effects were all excellent, as well as like the weapons sounding great, the robots making amazing little crunch noises when you destroy them. Hell, the robots just making noises in general is great, and their voice acting is fantastic. Good ass sound effects. The music in Nier Automata is done by the same woman who did the first Nier, and well, the music in this game is on the same level as the last. It is just totally fantastic and something really unique here. Like, the music must be heard in the game for you to understand how awesome it is. It's just so different for a video game, like, to have this kind of music, and it's got an amazing orchestra, really. I have nothing but good things in the sound department, if you couldn't tell, and it was much better than the first games, and I thought that game had like amazing sound also. So if you couldn't tell, this game is a lot better than Nier 1. However, not everything is perfect. We're almost there though. Besides the frame rate not being perfect, Nier Automata, this game has a very few things that I disliked. I disliked the menus in the game. I thought they were just all really bad. The map in particular was just awful in this game. And then the second issue is that the game can get a little bit on the repetitive side like the first. Nowhere near as much as the first games. The game is 3 to 5 endings, and while you just need to literally click continue after you get an ending, there's no other weird ass collecting weapon weird criteria shit. There's none of that. But this game just loves to reuse environments like the first game, and really when games reuse environments, as I mentioned before, it can make the game feel a lot more repetitive more quickly, as it feels like I'm getting nowhere in the game though. That really could be just a nitpick for me though. Besides that though, those 2 little issues, that's it for game issues. This game is pretty much a fantastic level like game. It is a game on every level that is just fantastic, with so many types of gameplay, excellent combat, a wonderful story, and really like, it's just so good. Like, this game has got to be Platinum's longest game ever also. It's really long for a Platinum game, like 20 plus hours long. But really, what else is there to say about Nier Automata? This game is just amazing. I really would love to go into more detail, but I'm going to spoil more of the game if I do. I really think this game should be tried by anyone who likes video games, and this is easily Yoko Taro's best video game. It's finally a Yoko Taro game with no strings attached, no bullshit. It's a great game with all-around gameplay and story, and I commend it. It's about time, and I love it for that. There was also some DLC for the game, but I didn't play it. And I really think Nier Automata, I mean, Platinum Games might have had to step in for the gameplay to be actually really good also, but I'm glad they stepped in. This game is amazing. Now, what do I say for Nier as a series? Nier is a good series, and I honestly think it's better than Drakengard, and Automata I fully recommend. Fully recommend. There's no bad gameplay but good story. No, this is good-ass gameplay, good-ass story. I fully recommend it. And the other Nier, not really. And the other Drakengards, not so much. So where do we really go from here, from Nier Automata? How do we get any better? My answer really is, I don't know. I don't know how we could get it any better. I have no idea where the series, if in Nier will continue, he'll go back to Drakengard. I have no idea where any of this will go. But I'm sure with Yoko Taro's next game, it will be crazy, original, and just unique. And hopefully his team isn't making it, another team is, because his team has proven that they are not the best at making video games. Either way, I know I will check it out. I might do a video on it. I don't know what it even is. But yeah, I have hope for the series. Check this game out. It's amazing. And whatever Yoko Taro makes, I'll be there to do a video on it. And I'll see you guys there. Thank you for joining me on this short series review. And have a nice night.